Today, Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino apparently did not show up to work. And at this point, we really have no idea if he will be back at work on Monday, as I was just saying to Chris. And if not, whether he's gone for good or whether anyone else from this Trump-era soap opera will be exiting with him. Who knows? We'll see. And if there's anything we learn over the next hour, and you never know, we may, we will be sure to let you know, I promise. And we don't know exactly where Dan Bongino was. We do have a pretty good sense of why he went MIA. And before we get into all the nitty-gritty here, and I know you've probably been following a lot of it, but let me just say this is a very messy, dysfunctional MAGA family drama. It involves hurt feelings and big personalities, and I would say some important lessons about what can happen when you're in a party with a growing addiction to conspiracy theorists and making sure they love you. So I just want to go back to the beginning of the second Trump administration, because it's important here. I mean, the MAGA faithful were eager to finally get their hands on all the secret Jeffrey Epstein files that they had led themselves to believe were purposely being hidden from them, from all the evil people in the Biden administration, I suppose. Files that they were convinced would implicate members of the deep state in child sex trafficking and in murdering Epstein to cover it all up. That was the theory, right? And one of the people Trump appointed to a major role in the FBI was this guy.
You hear about this Jeffrey Epstein thing? That apparently 170 plus people on his client list may be outed in the coming days. I can't wait for that. I've already told you the Epstein story. Let's just say a friend who knows about something, if you've heard the story, was on the plane with Clinton with the Epstein thing, and he said, I'm out of here, Daddy-O. I told that story quite a few times, so I know a lot about this story. There are a lot of people who know old Jeff. A lot of people. So it's kind of weird, like this client list is about to come out. Everybody got quiet all of a sudden about the Senate sex tape scandal, and nobody wants to say anything. Quickie poll. You believe some members of Congress and the Senate may have some connection to the Epstein client list? A simple Y for yes will do. No, if you think, no chance at all. Somebody have something on them? Is that client list going to have some names? Guess we'll see.
So that little hype man for all the conspiracy theories has found himself to be the deputy director of the FBI. Now, just a couple weeks into Trump's new term, back in February, Attorney General Pam Bondi handed out binders labeled The Epstein Files Phase 1. You can see one right on the screen there, nicely labeled with a little cover sheet, all to MAGA influencers at the White House. And she also told Fox News that the Epstein client list was literally sitting on her desk. So conspiracy land had their hopes up. They were pumped. They were finally going to get access to this stuff. Then that leads us to this week, when it all fell apart. When Bondi's office released a memo stating that Epstein had killed himself in his prison cell and that his long-awaited, much-rumored client list did not exist, effectively shutting the case down. That memo, to say the least, was not received well by MAGA world and prompted a good portion of Trump supporters to basically lose their minds.
I said Epstein. Like, where did this guy go? Where did that whole case go? Where did all the files go? They just went nowhere? No one even believes that.
Do you buy this story from the Justice Department? I do not.
It's almost like the Justice Department doesn't want us talking about Jeffrey Epstein anymore.
So we're stupid. Yeah. we're the idiots, guys. Just to let you know, we're wasting time. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. That is, like, in all seriousness, that is, I think, what is enraging people right now is it's insulting our intelligence. Like, obviously, the intelligence community is trying to cover it up. Obviously, the Trump administration is trying to cover up. Something changed because they ran on this idea of exposing it all.
So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just you cannot see it any other way. I mean, I'm physically gonna puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now because I have integrity.
I mean, that performance. My mouth is watering because I have integrity. Although I did love the actual tinfoil hats while they were talking about conspiracy theories in the clip right before that. That aside. Now, what is pretty clear from that is that Trump's MAGA base is looking for someone to blame. And that has led to some pretty juvenile, childish infighting by some of the most juvenile and childish members of the Trump administration, including a reportedly heated meeting on Wednesday between Attorney General Pam Bondi, White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, FBI Director Kash Patel, and Bongino. Now, here's how the New York Times described it. Ms. Bondi and her allies believe that Mr. Bongino, who parlayed a He-Man image and promotion of conspiracies into a top law enforcement job, planted stories in the conservative news media, blaming Ms. Bondi for the backlash after an announcement earlier this week that the Epstein case would be closed, according to officials close to the situation. Now, the New York Times goes on to say that an irate Ms. Bondi accused Mr. Bongino of leaking information to the news media in the presence of the FBI Director Kash Patel, the White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, and one of her deputies, Taylor Budowich. Mr. Bongino denied it, they said. Now, this is not the most important part of the story, but I will just pause here for a moment because a personal feud between the FBI director, the FBI deputy director, and the attorney general that is so intense it warrants a peacemaking meeting hosted by the White House chief of staff, who has a lot on her plate. Well, this may be a first, and I've worked in 2 administrations, but this may be a first. Now, according to a bunch of reporting, both Patel and Bongino have been frustrated with Bondi for a while now. In the Epstein case, Bongino felt that Bondi had overpromised and underdelivered, which, to be fair, I guess she kind of did. I mean, she was definitely hyping the revelations up before saying nothing to see here. But behind the scenes, Patel and Bongino may have been more agreeable than they claim. Bondi's deputy at the Justice Department, Trump's former defense attorney Todd Blanche, said in a social media post, "I worked closely with Patel and Bongino on the joint FBI and DOJ memo regarding the Epstein files. All of us signed off on the contents of the memo and the conclusions stated in the memo." And also, a source familiar with Bondi and Blanche's thinking told NBC News that all of them were on the same page on this all along until the criticism started to come in.